welcome. You're watching the News Hour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. On the 21st of June this year, 54-year-old Umesh Kole was murdered in cold blood in Maharashtra, butchered in front of his own son and daughter-in-law as he drove back home. Apparently, his murder was retribution for the support he had shown online for Nupur Sharma. But now the charge sheet by the NIA in the murder of Kole shows that Nupur Sharma was merely an excuse. Umesh Kole was actually killed by a bunch of people who basically in their head thought that Islamic law is above Indian law and the Indian constitution. This murder was an outcome of a firm belief in the mind of these radicals that they do have the right to mete out death as a punishment for an imagined concept of blasphemy that exists in their head. Umesh Kole was not a victim of imagined hurt or insult. He simply was a victim of extreme Islamic radicalization and indoctrination. And a radicalization that it seems is agnostic of how educated you are or what you do in life. Among those arrested and charged for the murder of Kole are a Maulvi and a social worker. The charge sheet says that the killers were radicalized and were members of the Tablighi Jamaat who were instigated by social activist Irfan Khan and Maulvi Mushfiq Ahmad. The terrorist gang of 11 was highly influenced by the ideology of brutality, which says that Gustakh-e-Nabi ki ek saza sar tan se juda. And the intention of their crime was absolutely crystal clear in their head: to strike terror into the hearts and minds of the general population who supported Nupur Sharma's statement and to take away from people the very idea of their free speech. But despite all of this, there is still a reluctance to recognize the elephant in the room: radicalization that, if not recognized and checked, could one day consume us all.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Joining us now on the debate, Rishi Bagri, political analyst, Ratan Sharda, author, Mujibur Rahman, lawyer. But my first question is to Advocate Talha Rashadi, spokesperson of the Rashtriya Ulema Council. Talha Rashadi, isn't it very clear now that there is growing radicalization, and it was radicalization which was behind the murder of Umesh Kole? Everything else is incidental.
Padmaja, my answer to your question is with the question: what is the genesis based on which you come to this conclusion? What leads to you to this conclusion?
I will tell you.
About
I will actually. Okay. I will quote to you.
About the mob
I will quote to you. That's a very good question.
Understand about the cow vigil?
Right. So let me actually quote to you. You are saying, why did I reach this conclusion? Here is what the charge sheet in the murder of Umesh Kole says. Umesh Kole was a law-abiding citizen without any adverse history of any dispute with any other person in general and the accused in particular. He exercised his right to free speech in a free country and declared his support to alleged controversial remarks of Nupur Sharma. His execution is not a simple act of murder carried out with an intention of merely punishing him. It is an act of terror by a gang of radicalized men who wanted to make an example out of the victim's murder. That is why I asked the question. Talha Rashadi.
So a theory, okay, it's a theory of the prosecution and you are reading it as a gospel truth. That's hilarious to me. That's ridiculous. You know, the prosecution has to strengthen its case, so it will say anything and it will in defense of its case. So let the judiciary come to a conclusion. And then other thing is that cherry picking a few lines from the charge sheet. The charge sheet must be voluminous. Cherry picking a few lines from the charge sheet and describe it to suit your agenda
and killed him.
Padmaja, why don't you question when people are being lynched, people are being
I
killed in
question
the
that
name
all
of
the time,
religion,
sir.
people are
But since you talk
Muslims
about
in
a
India,
laughable theory,
in the new India of
let me
Mr.
actually
Narendra
quote
Modi,
to you.
Muslims are being lynched on
Sir,
on what they
I
eat,
question that
on
all
what
the
they
time, but
practice,
today,
on what
just
they
for
study,
today,
on what they speak.
because obviously Umesh Kole's life
cracking
does
a
not
joke. They are being
matter
arrested.
without there being
Isn't that
whataboutery. So
radicalization?
Mr.
Why no one asked a
Rashadi, just
question
for
on that
today,
particular
let it be about
radicalization?
Umesh Kole, because the poor man was stabbed in the neck and almost beheaded. So let's today just give 20 minutes to this man who was beheaded.
Yes, I have full
So
sympathy
just
with
20
him.
minutes give it to him. Might not be important, but let's give 20 minutes to him. And since you say that this is a prosecution theory and you are finding it laughable, let me quote to you a message that was, by the way, on that WhatsApp group called Black Freedom. There was one man who was his own friend, Yusuf, accused number 7. Yusuf took a screenshot of Umesh Kole's message and spread it across Amravati with the accompanying message, and I quote, अमित मेडिकल प्रभात ताकीज तहसील के सामने इसको बताना है कि जिन लोगों के भरोसे कमाई की उनसे ही दुश्मनी का अंजाम क्या होता है. इस मैसेज को ज्यादा से ज्यादा ग्रुप को सेंड करें. दिस इज व्हाट यूसुफ, उमेश कोले's friend, did. He took a screenshot of one message that Umesh Kole had put, because Umesh Kole thought that he had the right to free speech. All he's saying is Nupur Sharma को support करें. His friend Yusuf says, जिन लोगों के भरोसे की कमाई की उनसे ही दुश्मनी का क्या अंजाम होता है. What do you think that the ultimate aim of this was?
And what is the conclusion that? What's the mens rea? What's the mens rea? How do you come to a conclusion that by this quote they meant to kill him? And what is the mens rea of Umesh Kole when he said that कि नुपुर शर्मा को support करो?
क्यों? इस देश में आपको हक नहीं है नुपुर शर्मा को सपोर्ट करने का.
We don't know what was his mens rea, what was his intention.
यहाँ लोग अजमल कसम को सपोर्ट कर रहे थे.
Now other thing is,
यहाँ लोग पार्लियामेंट अटैक के कॉन्विक्ट के सपोर्ट में सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए.
जो कर रहे थे उन्हें सजा दीजिए ना, जो कर रहे थे उन्हें सजा दीजिए. उमेश कोले के जो हथियार हैं उन्हें फांसी पे चढ़ा दीजिए. You should go by the rule of the law. उमेश कोले के जो हथियार हैं उन्हें फांसी पे चढ़ा दीजिए. I demand that. वो 11 नहीं 111 हो. उन्हें डिमांड कीजिए. But you know, this generalization of Islamic radicalization, this is where I have objection. I don't have any objection.
Is there a generalization
if you want
of Islamic?
111 आप सबको फांसी पे चढ़ा दीजिए. मैं डिमांड करता हूँ. But this generalization of Islamic radicalization, no one talks about Hindu radicalization. When ATS and NIA described it in the Malegaon case.
Okay,
why don't you do a debate on that topic?
Okay, your question is generalization of Islamic radicalism.
What is terror?
Talha Rashadi is saying hang these 11 by their neck. But why are you generalizing and demonizing Ratan Sharda?
Well, NIA is not an RSS body. CBI is not an RSS body. SIT is not an RSS body. He talks of saffron terror. He remembers that this is the only government.
Do you agree that Sadhvi Pragya, what did the NIA said about Sadhvi Pragya and Colonel Purohit? Do you agree with that?
आपने काफी only case in history where same government had 2 cases, one against Muslims, one against Hindu for the same incident. These were cases where every evidence showed, including the accused, that this was Muslim attack in Ajmer, but our government said it's a Hindu terror. And then Pakistan had let off hook. All evidence was in the air. So let us not talk of that. He talked of lynching. We keep on talking of 3 lynchings, but there are 150 Hindus killed by terrorists in India during the same period. We don't talk of them because that will last entire program will start giving those names. Now coming to the main issue, let us say India is bigot. Let us say we are bigot. We believe that Tablighi Jamaat is a Bhagwan ka banda and all these Hindus are after their blood. Now tell me, this is the normalization that talks about Saudi Arabia banned with many other Islamic countries this particular Tablighi Jamaat, saying it's a gateway to terror. Okay, January 2022, Pakistani, Taliban and Afghanis, these radicals fueled the Kazakhstan riots. This is the news in the international as well as national news. There is South Asia Democratic Forum, which is an anti-terror forum, which clearly says that the Tablighi Jamaat is a mask for inducting people to breed terror in entire Europe. The study talks about French talks about Belgium and every country where this is Tablighi Jamaat and the Islamic radicalism has reached the stage where France says 80% of terror attacks in France are linked to Tablighi Jamaat followers. Having said that, let us come to Dr. Farhan Zahid of Pakistan. Let us not talk of India at all because we are all bigot separatists. He says 1990 former DG ISI, Lieutenant General Javed Nasir was a member of the Tablighi Jamaat. 1993 attempt of coup against Benazir Bhutto was influenced by Tablighi Jamaat. It was Deobandi ideology which prompted the Tablighi Jamaat. During 1980s, Tablighi Jamaat was known for recruitment of entire Islamist radicals for Afghan war. The most radical Islamist group have done an interaction with Tablighi Jamaat. They have never condemned any terror attack and suicide bombing. This Tablighi Jamaat, entire history, then they have never condemned any attack. And if you talk of RSS, what about, so RSS is there in Nigeria, RSS is there in Saudi Arabia, it is there in Belgium, it's there in France, it is there in Somalia, Sudan, Kenya,
Talha
and USA, UK also.
And let's again underline, this is not just about the Tablighi Jamaat. It so happens that these people happen to prescribe to the Tablighi Jamaat thought. But they are but one conduit. The larger question, though, is about growing radicalization, of which Tablighi Jamaat is but a part. Talha Rashadi.
Padmaja, I just want to rebut my learned friend. You know, when something that suits their agenda and narrative, they will take the examples from Pakistan and Afghanistan. Otherwise, they will send Muslims of India to Pakistan and they say that Pakistan is their enemy number one.
Sorry,
but something that suits their agenda, they will make Pakistan their Maiva. Now the other thing is that.
I said let
now,
us talk of
please,
France,
I didn't.
Okay, please don't interrupt him. Let him also have his say. Go on, Mr. Rashadi. Yes. But argue on facts. The fact that they have been banned, the fact that they have been called out, and the fact that others like Tablighi Jamaat have also been called out as radical organizations. Go on. Yes.
Why, if we are in India, we would talk about India. I don't know about Tablighi Jamaat of Pakistan, of Saudi Arabia, of Afghanistan. My learned friend sitting here, the professor must be knowing because he has his relations with them. But I don't know anything about them. I know about the Tablighi Jamaat of India. There's no such history of theirs. There's no criminal history of theirs. These people are the most peaceful people. They are propagating
Sir, if the Tablighi Jamaat is peaceful,
Islam.
then it's even more worrying. Why did these 11 people get radicalized enough? Now imagine this. When I'm talking about radicalization, you could be driven by anger, you could be driven by hatred. But imagine, such was the level of preparation that actually the office of Rehbar COVID helpline was used to plan the entire murder of Umesh Kole. Do you know that the 11 accused kept their phones in the ambulance of Rehbar COVID helpline to throw off investigators so that their location could not be triangulated through their mobile phones? What is the level of evil that would inspire somebody to use an ambulance for your crime? Now, it's very rich, Mujibur Rahman, that in this country we become apoplectic at the idea of freedom of speech being under attack, except when your life depends on it. Because then freedom of speech is subservient to the idea of blasphemy. Now let me read from the charge sheet. This murder was done in a manner that will send shivers down the spine of general population of this peace-loving democratic country who will never dare to speak up for what they think is right or wrong. The brutality of murdering a father in front of his son under open sky in a public space with proper planning and celebration after doing the act was with an intention to strike terror in a large section of society. It's a terrorist action, to say the least. This was basically to tell Indians that you will have your freedom of speech until we decide that you don't have that freedom. Umesh Kole learnt that with his life. Mujibur Rahman.
First of all, I will say that gentleman who is misusing your platform to mislead the nation that Saudi Arabia has banned Tablighi Jamaat. Let me tell you, the Saudi Arabia has banned a group of Al-Bahab that is called Al-Ahbab, which is from an African country, and because they are deviating from their own Wahhabism. So that group is called Al-Ahbab. They call themselves Tablighi Jamaat because they are in Dawa. Everybody who is in Dawa is called Tablighi person. So even the Ministry of Saudi Arabia on dated 6th of December 2021 has tweeted about it. So, but this fascist person will not tell the truth to the nation. First thing is this. You can go and check out the Ministry of External Affairs tweet of 6th of December 2021, Mr. Gentleman. And now come to that point. If you call it, if Nupur Sharma had been punished under National Security Act, thus these incidents wouldn't happen in the nation.
Why?
Why? This is the first reason.
Oh, what is this
Just
logic?
like you can say
what is
that
this
the
logic,
RSS
sir?
says that
You do not decide. You do not decide. Hold on a second, Mr. Mujibur Rahman. You don't decide that you give such and such punishment to Nupur Sharma, else we will riot. You must book Nupur Sharma under a law that doesn't apply to her, else we will behead Umesh Kole. What kind of logic is this? That you will dictate terms to the police? So interesting thing, here is what happened in this case also, that this bunch of people went to the police and said, file case against Nupur Sharma. The cops told them that she has various FIRs already against her in various parts of the country. So they said, we must do something big to teach people a lesson. This is utter blackmail. You will not decide which law will be applied to Nupur Sharma. The constitution of the country and the Indian Penal Code will decide what law applies to Nupur Sharma. Why should she be booked under National Security Act? It doesn't apply to her in this present case. She was booked under the sections that apply to her, and she is still being tried under those sections, sir.
Keep shouting, keep shouting, keep shouting. I don't do such type of debates.
No, I am not doing a debate and shouting. I am telling you the facts, sir.
You can put any image of my. You can use any photo of me in place of me. I'm going, okay.
I do not have to put any image. If you cannot answer questions based on facts, then you are welcome to leave. But I am asking you, what kind of logic, Mr. Rahman, is it that you book Nupur Sharma under Public Safety Act, or we will behead Umesh Kole?
Keep shouting.
Why?
Put my photo on the frame and keep shouting.
I will not put your photo. I will let it be empty because you are running away after blackmailing. Rishi Bagri. Is this a logic applicable in India? That because Nupur Sharma wasn't booked and hanged immediately, that is why Umesh Kole was murdered. Rishi Bagri.
Padmaja, Mr. Talha Rashadi was saying that let the law take its own course. Let the law take its own course in Nupur Sharma case also, whether she is offended or not. Let the law decide. No? Why you need to decide? A series of murders are taking place just because somebody is supporting Nupur Sharma. You have seen what have happened in the Udaipur. The person completely beheaded Kanhaiya Lal just because of this thing. And they would have given the clean sheet if those people haven't live streamed that murder. And again, they are ready to give a clean sheet to this 11 people who are actually, went ahead and killed Umesh Kole just because he supported Nupur Sharma in some random WhatsApp chat group. I don't understand. Then what they do, they bring the false equivalence. Bhaiya, what Sadhvi Pragya ka kya hua? Colonel Purohit ka kya hua? That was I just want to say, you had 10 years of UPA government. You had a government in the Maharashtra. Both the government tried their level best. Kuch charges proof nahi hua, kuch bhi nahi hua. They've been exonerated by the judiciary, by the same rule of law. Which, अरे भैया वही rule of law ने exonerate कर दिया ना, उसको छोड़ दिया ना. तो आपको रूल ऑफ लॉ को तो आप रेस्पेक्ट करते नहीं हो. आप सिर्फ बड़ी बड़ी बात करने बैठ जाते हो यहाँ पर. अगर साध्वी प्रज्ञा को रूल ऑफ लॉ नहीं छोड़ा था ना, और व्हाट एग्जैक्टली यू आर ट्राइंग टू डू, व्हाई यू आर किलिंग पीपल जस्ट बिकॉज दैट पर्सन इज सपोर्टिंग नुपुर शर्मा. आप किसी को भी आप कत्लेआम कर दोगे, आप किसी को स्टैप कर दोगे, किसी को मार दोगे. ये क्या हो रहा है भाई? रूल ऑफ लॉ बोल के कोई चीज नहीं, आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो. और आप जस्टिफाई भी कर रहे हो इस चीज को. आप जस्टिफाई भी करने पहुंच जाते हो. 11 लोगों ने मारा एक उमेश कोले को. एंड यू नो पद्मजा, द एमवीए गवर्नमेंट एक्चुअली नेवर टुक कॉग्निजेंस ऑफ दिस ऑफेंस. 12 दिन तक कोई केस फाइल नहीं हुआ. 12 दिन तक ये बताया नहीं गया इट वाज अ हेट क्राइम. उसके बाद गवर्नमेंट चेंज हुई एंड दैट केस वेंट टू एनआईए. तब जाके वो सेम पुलिस हैव एक्चुअली कॉट दोस क्रिमिनल्स इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू डेज. उससे पहले किसी ने कुछ किया नहीं. दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ लेवल ऑफ अपीजमेंट दिस पीपल शोज.
Talha Rashadi. And here's the shocking thing. What was the message? What was the message which was sent out after Kole's murder? उस गुस्ताख अमित मेडिकल वाले को चाकू से मार दिया. Because the idea was that this is blasphemy and a concept which is being applied to India that doesn't exist here. Clearly, these are people who believe they are above Indian law. They are imposing their own law, their own trial and their own punishment.
Padmaja, no one is above the law. Everyone is and has to believe in the law of the country, law of the land. Now the thing is that they did something that was against the law. They are being punished and they are facing the law.
Why did they do it?
Now Nupur Sharma did something against the law. What was the message that Nupur Sharma wanted to convey?
They did
who are the people who are, you know, who have yet not arrested Nupur Sharma? Why is the Home Ministry providing her that net?
Sir, why did they do it?
Why
did they do it? Answer that question. Why did they do it?
Go and ask them. I am not here to answer
they
about
did it
them.
because they are radicalized.
Some 11 fringe elements,
which you say doesn't exist.
Of the community. They were the black sheep of the community.
No.
They are hardcore criminals.
They are far too many. Since you keep talking about this Nupur Sharma effect, do you know that the first murder, Mr. Rashadi, the first murder this year, which everyone chooses to ignore for the concept of blasphemy, actually took place on the 25th of January 2022, and that man's name was Kishan Bharvad. Kishan Bharvad has shared a post online with a picture of the Prophet, with the result that on the 25th of January he was shot dead, and a Maulvi from Gujarat was arrested for asking for Kishan Bharvad to be murdered. Nupur Sharma hadn't spoken until May. Why was Kishan Bharvad murdered in January?
Padmaja, they are the apologists. You know, they are there to whitewash the crimes done by these radicals. They will say these people are mentally unstable. They will say the murdering mob has no religion. They will say that the minorities are actually fearing backlash.
The question here should be, why is Nupur Sharma yet not been arrested? Why the BJP central government ministers are garlanding people who are convicted in the case of mob lynching?
You continue to go on and on about Nupur Sharma, in some way implying that Nupur Sharma led to Kole's murder. But you haven't answered that if Nupur Sharma speaking in May led to Kole being murdered in June, then why was Kishan Bharvad murdered in January? Nupur Sharma hadn't even spoken by then. Why was Kishan Bharvad murdered?
I never said anything that because of Nupur Sharma, I never said that. I say that the law should be equal for everyone. Who are the people who are pampering people like Nupur Sharma? Why is Nupur Sharma yet not facing the law of the land if the law is equal for everyone? Why is she saying on the TV, on live TV, that I got calls from Home Ministry, I am getting support from ministers, from PMO?
She actually said no such thing. She actually said no such thing. And sir, you are absolutely right. In the country, the law isn't equal for everyone, because plenty of people say blasphemous things about the Hindu religion and they live as free citizens. But Nupur Sharma lives in a country where she said something and she's still living in fear of her life. So you're right. The law is not equal for everyone because the law is being pretty unequal for Nupur Sharma. Concluding remarks, Ratan Sharda.
See, problem with these people is their apologies for the radicalized Islamist youth to say that as entire Islam is radical, he will start shouting at me. But I am saying, if there are people who are caught, he said everybody you name, he says, okay, usko maar do, lekin Islam ko kuch mat kaho, tabligh jamaat ko kuch mat kaho. Hum keh rahe hain kya? It is the world over who are saying it. Is not this violence across the world? Is it only limited to this particular country? Is it only limited to 2014? Before 2014, there was no riot.
पाकिस्तान चले जाइए, अफगानिस्तान पे भरोसा, अफगानिस्तान चले जाइए.
अरे भाई तो आप चले जाइए, मैंने कब रोका आपको? मैंने तो किसी को नहीं कहा पाकिस्तान जाने को. आपको इच्छा आप चले जाइए ना, मैंने नहीं कहा. मेरे सारी जिंदगी में मैंने किसी को नहीं कहा. तो आप
हम तो पाकिस्तान की मान ही नहीं रहे, हम तो दुश्मन मानते हैं उसको अपना.
इल्जाम लगे हैं सारे दुनिया में जो अटैक हो रहे हैं, टेरर अटैक हो रहे हैं, सबको आप नजरअंदाज करेंगे और कहेंगे ये टेरर नहीं है।
And Talha Rashadi, it's not just about what's happening in Pakistan. If you had a Safura Bibi being murdered in Pakistan, you also had a Samuel Paty being murdered in France. You also had Deborah, a Christian student, being burnt by her own classmates in Nigeria for supposed blasphemy. And there's only one common thread through all of this: terrible, creeping radicalization, which countries are now realizing, recognizing and addressing. In India, though, we continue to remain in denial, maybe at our own peril. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me.